Yeah, the city of Shane is still bustling and busy. It's the middle of the night, but this city never sleeps. People are still gambling, wandering around. Drunks are starting to crawl out of the casinos. And a group of people start to combine back at the Kadros estate. Kubo, you pull up with the car. You've After kind of that shocking moment of realizing that Leopold speaks Celestial, you've pulled up to the house. Florin, who has now drained all three juice boxes, is looking up at the house. Wow, this is a big old house, man. This is huge. And Dessa is proudly beaming at the kid, who is appropriately impressed. We'll say that you guys get to the house first because Kyle was still gambling. And so you are at your stately, beautiful, very clearly divinely inspired estate home. And the day is yours, the night, rather.
Okay, so I'm assuming that Kubo kind of pulls the car into the garage, however that works.
Yeah.
And he's kind of probably just sitting for a second because after realizing that Leo could understand everything that they were talking about, it kind of takes the wind out of his sails for sure. That's why he slammed on the brakes in traffic and everything. At least everyone was fine, you know. Um, so he probably is just actually gonna sit there for a couple of minutes. Maybe Deza kind of like nudges him, like, "What are you doing?" And then he gets out of the car and he picks up Florin because I don't know how old he is again, like 8 or 10 or something.
Yeah, he's a younger kid.
Okay, he's just gonna pick him up either way and be like, "Okay, well, welcome," with a kind of like, you know how Shrek does that flourish, kind of like that, like, yeah. And he's like, "Well, we're gonna go bring you in to meet with the rest of the family." And he's gonna turn to Desa and he's gonna try to whisper in her ear and be like, "Can you go let Dad? I'm gonna take them to Mom. Can you go let Dad know we have company and that they can understand him? Like speak Celestial, basically is what he's saying."
Gotcha. Dessa nods and goes, "Of course, I'll run and do that." She leaves. Florin is like, an 8-year-old kid, so he's probably like, about, 3.5, 4 foot tall by this point. He's like a kid. So you're kind of holding him up, and he just kind of looks like a floppy cat. He's like, I can walk. I can.
Kubo's never been around small children, so he's like, "I suppose you can," and sets him down.
Sits down. He writes himself. He's still very rattled from almost losing around 30 years of his life.
Mm.
And yeah, you walk in to kind of the main estate area, big vaulted ceilings, beautiful stuff. You see that the butler is standing out by the garden, which suggests that you have a guest here tonight. And you weren't aware of any guests as of, any plans to have people over, but your father is always doing different things. Leo, what's going through your mind?
I immediately follow them, both of them as they enter. And I start looking around, but quietly, just getting aware of the surroundings, trying to understand what's going on passively.
Yeah.
As soon as we get to that point, I'm gonna nudge Kubo a little bit. So, are you gonna show me around? Are you gonna tell me what's what? I'm still waiting on being fed. These are promises I'm not being kept with right now.
That's super fair. So yeah, Kubo, once you've gotten a look around, is like, "Oh yeah, absolutely, Leo. Thank you for coming with us again. I'm just trying to get a hold of my mother. You might have seen her in the newspapers. Ariana Cadro, the lawyer. Anyways, um, definitely gonna need her help to figure out the legalities." And he points to the kid Florin and he kind of doesn't really say it out loud, but he can mouth sort of like the child sort of a thing. And then he's like, "And you can ask. We have some butlers around. You can just ask them. They will bring you anything you want, pretty much. Just whatever food you want, dude. I'd
Oh,
say go for it."
well noted, well noted. And I immediately rotate as a 180 and look for the nearest nicely dressed server that I can see.
Yeah. You turn, talk to a server real quick. You would just ask for a typical meal, something that you would, typically.
No, do you know any interesting rooms that contain books?
The butler looks at you and is like, "You want to eat a book?"
No, do you know the layout of this
I am the butler. Yes, we do.
establishment?
I'm afraid we're not going
Okay.
to allow you to explore the estate willy nilly. But yes, we do have libraries or rooms with books with them, as they are also called.
You sure? Not even for reading? And I try to touch his shoulder and persuade.
Roll persuasion. I'm going to say with disadvantage.
Am I right there
uh,
too? Like,
persuasion.
Right there. We'll say that as he's having this, you see your mother start to come down the stairs.
oh, Kubo Sally is like, thank God.
Dressed in like a very not revealing, but very shapely, like sleeping gown that's like very clearly like she knows she's attractive and she constantly flaunts it despite being a mother and a professional. Like home is where she gets to be whatever she wants to be.
Good for her. You know what? Good for her. I love that for my mother. Kubo is immediately like with his hands just like, oh yes, mother, thank you so much. And then whatever role he gets, and he can have that in, like, but Kubo is gonna put his one hand on Florin's shoulder and the other one on Leo's shoulder and just be like, gentlemen, my mother, Ariana Kadros.
Awesome. Let me see
Mother!
those rolls. Um, yeah, so with the 10, the guy like takes your hand off of his
I got a
arm.
13. 13, 13, 13.
13. Oh, I said with disadvantage.
Oh, you
Um,
said disadvantage? Oh, damn, never mind.
you're like you touch the help, which is a little, sorry, I'm kind of
You just like awkwardly rub his shoulder.
I love the fact that Leo just did it while I'm right there, and Ariana is also right there. Like, you have guts, my friend. I respect it. I respect it.
he takes your arm off it and looks to Ariana and goes, "It appears our guest has an interest in the academic." And she goes, "Oh, how lovely! That's lovely to hear." You mentioned, and so I assume you mentioned their names.
Yeah.
She goes,
Yes.
"Young Master Florin, wonderful to have you here. I'm sure we'll have lots to discuss." And she talks to this, like 10-year-old elf as if he's like a 30-year-old guy that's just at the office or at the home. And she turns to Leopold and goes, "It's very interesting that you're curious what books we keep around the house. As you can see, we have ample to share. Yes, we will tend to your needs as you see fit. Um, I believe that our father is ready, or the head of the household, of course, Master Peregrine, is ready for us in the garden."
And
Awesome.
shall we go? And I follow them instead. Immediately leave the butler.
I'm gonna real quick intercede real quick. Florin's not coming with us, right? Or
Um,
is he? If Dad wants to see him, Dad wants to see him. But like, low key, Kubo hopes he isn't coming.
yeah, you can take her aside and be like, "I don't think Florin needs to be there."
Probably real quick. It's just like run. I'm assuming that my mother has heard something before we arrived because there's already a guest with out in the garden. Sorry to be quick. So yeah, real quick, the quickest way I can, I just fill Ariana in or my mom, I guess, in, and Kubo's like, yeah, I feel like this kid needs to sleep. He's had some food. I don't really know how children work though, so like maybe he needs more.
I was like, "We have butlers for that. I had a nanny for you. We don't have a nanny in the house anymore, but I'll get another one." She
Oh my
gestures to
god.
the butler and is like, "Please take care of Master Florin, get him whatever he needs, put him in a guest room, and I'm sure that we can find more permanent arrangements for him at another point."
Perfect.
And you see the little kid kind of like going to his head is like, "Thank you." Like he's like really liking being treated like an adult. And the butler takes him off into another area of the estate. Um, you guys walk over to the garden. Um, and you open the door here. I'm gonna visit a couple little points here before we move on, just to kind of keep pace with what's going on. So 1 second, I get out my notes. Yes, so this is what you guys will see as you open the door, and then we'll cut back to Kyle. You open the doors to the gardens, open, again, luscious. There's a great circular pool with like deep dark blue aromatic liquid in the center of it. And you see your father in his human form lounging in the pool, laying back. And Maddie, you would know immediately that he did not even move upon being told that there were guests he needed to look, human for, and instead just transformed into his human form and remained laying in the pool. And on the right-hand side of him, on your left, there is a officer. There is a officer, captain of the guard, Harlow, Officer Harlow. And he is shirtless, his back to you. And you see that a tattoo artist, the same that did all the family tattoos, is currently working on his back. And we are going to cut back to that scene after we have a quick check-in with Kyle. You guys are driving. Savage is sitting next to you. I assume you guys are consummate professionals. I don't know if you guys talk at all. Would you sit next to him or in the back seat?
Oh, Kyle would definitely be sitting up front.
You guys are driving. It's already been like 6 city blocks, and then Savage leans over and goes, "So, gambling go good?"
Yeah.
Good.
I'm gonna start pull out a little cube and start fiddling with it, and I'm gonna do the artificer. I'm gonna imbue it. It's gonna start playing that like eerie sound from like the Godfather 2 when like they're taking Frito out in the lake. It's gonna just start. It's gonna just continually emit that.
He's just looking over, like glancing at the road as it goes by, and you see like he's very interested in it and wants to like fiddle with it, but his hands are covered with blood. He is still like very post combat. He's got like wounds and everything, and so he's like, "Oh, cool." Didn't say anything else.
Did that like murders go good or?
Oh yeah. I mean, typical day. They put up a good fight, killed about 7 or 8 of them. They won't be so quick to resist and all that. Messy business, but it's what I do. A little beat up, of course.
Sure. I mean, all on a day's work.
Yep. You guys drive. You guys get to the estate, get out. You guys can't get separated from each other fast enough. Truly 2 people with nothing to talk about. You get to the house. Beautiful, gorgeous. What's going through Kyle's mind?
He hasn't seen the circle in a crazy long time, so he's a little impressed at the size of it and wealth and everything like that, but he's just kind of thinking like, God, I can't imagine staying in one place long enough to like accumulate all this crap.
Oh, makes sense. Yeah. So yeah, that's great. Yeah, I'll say the last time you remember seeing that circle was like maybe 30 years ago, and they were basically nothing more than like a warlord bunch. Like they were just like a brutal, like they didn't have a center of operations. They just killed and moved from place to place. And so they've like clearly put down roots, and it is not the same organization you remember it being. So yeah, I think that's you totally get that without even further investigation. We'll say you're walking in toward the garden. You see the same ostentatious, beautiful stairwells and marble flooring and columns that everyone else saw. And there are butlers about. Savage is like, I'm gonna go get dressed, but you can go see. They're gonna be in the garden in a little bit. So you can get at that.
Sounds good. Have fun.
You too. Okay. He walks.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't snoop around as much as I would in most places. I'd probably head more or less straight to the garden.
Awesome. Okay, so before you get there, I'm going to say you trail behind them by maybe 20, 30 minutes. And so they're going to have a little scene here, and then you're going to be able to basically walk in. So you guys walk into the garden, and as I've said, you see this police officer on your left. And without, just to inform you kind of what's going on here, your father has been working on basically developing illegal connections with the police officer and kind of try to make it a public puppet organization for some time now. But there was no clear time when it would actually come to fruition. And this is a very strong movement in the right direction.
So that's good. Can I roll, or I feel like actually, despite the fact that my dad's there and like Leo's here and there's business and important things, I want to figure out, like, is he just getting tattooed with like typical like words or images, or is it like the words like my dad's special words? That sounded weird the way I said, you know what I mean?
So I will say here, roll me a Arcana or Religion check, and Leo, I want you to do the same.
Okay, let me figure that out.
Let's see, Arcana.
Give me money. Well, can't win them all. I got a 10 religion.
That's not bad. You'll get general information. You'll get what you need.
Wow, I got a 1.
Oh no.
Like a natural 1. +5 is 6.
Leo, these guys are barbarians, and they are marking him for slaughter and or marking him as a possession. Panic, run, this guy's scary. That's what your insight tells you. You don't have to react in that way. That's what your initial thought is.
Okay.
Kubo, you recognize two things. One, this is not the tattoos that made you a paladin. This is not to the scale. This is not to the the level of complexity. But you do know that it is establishing him in some degree with the authority of your father. Visually, there is a portrait of a rat, and then several like ears and eyes at different locations around that. And it's clearly placed in the back in the way that it will be almost always hidden by clothing.
Nice. Okay, very cool.
As you guys walk in, your father almost stands up and goes, "Oh, no, sorry, I'm not decent, I guess you could say," and sits back into the liquid and sits back as, "Well, I've heard you guys really caused some problems over there, and I'm grateful that we got our funds, and it seems like most people are happy if they're not dead. So, great job there. It's a shame we lost that ghost, but win some, lose some. And I see that we've got some interesting guests here." And he points at Leopold.
I wave.
You wave back.
Perfect. With that, Kubo probably actually is gonna kind of like let out a little like when he sees that you guys have at least been sort of friendly with each other. He's gonna turn to his dad and he's gonna be like, "Yeah, father, this is Leopold, and I forgot your last name. I'm so out of game. But I remember you told us last time, which is why Kubo knew you were important. So he's gonna maybe kind of try to subtly stress the last name to his dad. His dad probably already knows, but and he's gonna be like, we just happened to find him, and I was able to tell him to come back because he might have some questions or be looking to work more with the circle in the future. So
yes, and I like what I see so far.
he gets a hearty laugh. He's like, well, you got a nice little spot here in the city, nice big garden. Why wouldn't you like it? I want to stress here, Kubo, you heard him say his last name was Akami, but his tattoos on his arm suggest that he's of a family that's very different than that. And so it's either Iyala or Dorn. That's what you think it is, but he hasn't said either of those names yet. His tattoos on his arm are reminiscent to those families.
Okay. I don't remember if I mentioned that to Deza. I feel like Kubo doesn't want to say anything yet because he doesn't want to, like, freak Leo out, or he's not as subtle maybe as his dad is at this stuff. I don't know. So
Right, yeah. Well, I think your father kind of feels that there's some tension or some stuff. He goes, well, we're in a place to share. We're all here to grow. As you can see, our good friend Officer Hawthorne over there is getting tattooed up, if you say, excuse me, Harlow. And he's getting set up to kind of represent our interests in the police force. Isn't that right? And you see the guy is like, like as he's getting tattooed in the back. The tattoo artist is this gorgeous woman with like half shaved head and like long hair on the other side, tattoos all over her body, and is currently tattooing his back with the stuff. And he goes, yes, sir. That is what we're doing. And your father goes, yeah, he's going to be our eyes and ears on the inside, if you will. And, I gave him a little bit of a spice, a little bit of power to go along with that. But, we've all talked about the terms. No lying. Isn't that right? And Officer Harlow goes like, yep, not a lie to be heard, sir. Nope, nowhere. Good. So, Leo, I understood you wrangled a ghost for us before you killed it.
Yes, I was aggressively told to do so, and physically bruised, but I won't get into much details about it.
He looks to you and goes, physically bruised? He says that like under his breath to Kubo.
Kubo gives his dad a look that hopefully between like father and son is just like later. Like,
okay, well, sounds fair enough. Yeah, let me see. So he looks at your arm and realizes that it's all bandaged up and he goes, you're the kid that started that fire. Isn't that right?
No. He just sighs. It's like I didn't technically start. No one knows who started the fire. No one knows.
There seems to have been a bit of a misunderstanding, father.
Oh, I see.
Yes. And I start nodding my head with my arms crossed, like yes.
He actually gets a towel finally and wraps it around himself. And there's like one of those rice screen things nearby. So he gets up out and starts talking to you behind like a privacy screen so that he can be a little more decent.
And we see a silhouette.
Kubo doesn't need to see that. If you want to see that, go ahead. If Kubo sees you looking at his dad, he will punch you again.
As he's behind the screen, he goes, summoners are a rare breed. There's not a lot of them, and they're really critical. As there's not as popular now that the war is done, but it's really good that we found one. And now that you're copacetic with our intent, I see no reason we should keep any secrets, right?
I agree, but you have to understand that my breed is also hard to come by because we were hunted down for what we summon and how we've been excommunicated, especially my parents. So it's hard to do what I can do, quote unquote, legally. So please forgive me if I ask for any increase of any kind of payment for any job that is needed.
So now we're talking rates. Okay. You hear him laughing behind the screen. The police officer, even without any checks, when you mention the fire, he perks up and looks and seems to be like memorizing what you look like. Leo.
Can
I hope so.
glare at him?
What?
Can Kubo glare at him, kind of like from either behind Leo or in between them, just like shake his head, like the subtle, like no, don't mess with this to Officer Harlow.
Right. Yeah. You clearly communicate that. He lowers his eyes. Yeah. So he fully gets dressed. You guys kind of spend some time lounging in the gardens, and we'll say it's around this time that um, Kyle walks in. And so we'll say Kyle walks in, maybe has a brief moment with you guys.
Oh, familiar face.
I walk in tapping the cube again so that it makes the eerie Godfather noise. Hey, long time no see.
Kubo is like, hello, nice cube.
Yes, very.
Thanks, I made it
intriguing.
myself.
So what's it called exactly?
A doohickey. Mark II.
Oh, nice. I like it. I like it.
I have the pro plan. This thing is killing me. So it'll kick us off in a little bit. We'll just have to jump back on. Gosh, I thought I bought the whole fancy thing. Oh my gosh.
So good.
Fancy.
We're living fancy like the mobsters. Just kidding.
Yes, powder my face.
Gosh. Okay. Well, we'll ignore that for now. I thought I was on the pro plan. Okay. So you walk in, have that sort of exchange. Peregrine walks out. He's dressed in a very nice evening suit. And he's like, holy shit! Kyle! Right?
Hey!
It's been decades, my dude. Last time I saw you, I was still like chopping off people's fingers and like killing people all the time. It was wild.
I remember you had that one dwarf. You just like suck. You were eating like a finger food, like literally. It was weird, man.
Yeah, we got real creative back then. He points to his wife Ariana, who's been kind of like lounging on a chair. She's like, she got me started with kind of like public decency, and the whole HR department thing was huge for us. And ever since then, we've been growing like gangbusters. And so you got to really thank her for that, really.
Well, bully.
Well, it looks like you've kind of got mixed up in our soup, so I thought I'd want to get you involved, let you know what's up. So this kind of relaxes for a little bit. The people finally finish the tattoo on his back, and he puts back his shirt on, the officer. And you guys all like get seated, basically, not in the circle, but around that area, kind of in this meeting room area. And the father says, so here's what I've brought you all here to discuss today. And Leopold, based on what information you can give us, it will change dramatically the intensity at which we handle this issue. Our friend, the officer, has confirmed some suspicions that we've had for some time, and there are forces within the government, supported by some fringe police groups as well, that wish to separate Sheen and Remalin from divine influence entirely. They would wish to exile all tieflings, all Aasimar, all divine entities. They kind of have a purity concept of keep things in the heavens and hells where they're supposed to be, which I think we can all agree, maybe Kyle excluded here, doesn't really vibe with our whole thing,
No.
I see.
All right.
So this was all kind of underpinnings, nothing too scary until it's kind of come to a head in the Senate. And there are two senators that are kind of battling it out right now. The two senators are Senator Glorin, very, very well-known tiefling woman, senator. She's wonderful, really represents the divine associated races very well. And then Senator Pearson, who is a scab, a human piece of garbage that supports really bad labor stuff. He's a really bad dude. And he's very supportive of removing the divine entities from the nation. And all of this was pretty low key, not a big deal. And then somebody with hellish fire appears to have burned down Glimmer University, recently within the past couple days. So things are starting to heat up, I guess you could say.
So do you want us to pay the other senator a visit? And I sarcastically pound my fist against my hand.
He looks at that as probably not. No. What's going through people's minds as he explains this?
I guess try to figure out what exactly he wants us to do. Sounds very, very political.
Kyle's reevaluating some things. He had some suspicions that don't quite jive with what he's saying right now, so he's just kind of listening.
Gotcha.
Kubo feels great. He probably looks pretty just stoic, good poker face. He's chilling at the table here, but like this is what he wanted and he's getting it, even though maybe he would have rather worked with like his brother or his sister. These guys can kill. This should be good. Why not,
Yeah. Around this time, Dessa and Savage enter back into the garden from what they were doing. Savage clearly has like big wounds that are like bandaged over, and like is clearly like recovering from a lot of damage that he took, fighting people off earlier.
Buddy?
What?
Kyle's just like, sup, buddy?
When you do that to Savage, Kubo like will give you like a look like what? What? You know him? No, just kidding.
So, yeah, you're all in the same area. Can you guys hear me? My connection seems to have gone unstable. Can you hear me?
Hello?
Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah.
Yes. Perfect.
Great. You guys all land, and he stands up from the table, seeing that like what he said is kind of sunk in a little bit here, and goes, "Now, a lot of this really depends on Leo, and that's a couple things. One, why'd you burn down the university? I understand if it was an accident, that's fine. Accidents still happen, roughly for a reason. And two, what level of summoner are we talking about? Because I've got from some authority, you might not just be a Harry Joe or Dick Harry Joe. You might be somebody more important. And to follow that up, may I see your arm?"
Wow. First of all, that's a lot of personal question. I feel like I need some time to process and I put my hand over my chest. But since you ask so politely, I'll do so. And I'll slowly walk up to him and remove the bandage. I won't cover it. I'll just make it obvious so everyone can see. And I'll just sigh as I'm doing so.
Okay, I want to mention one other thing as you're doing this. So this is happening as you're walking up. The tattoo artist lady, we will name her Suzanne. She walks up to Kubo and kind of leans over and explains like the tattoos on the police officer's back will alert your father to when he lies. So if ever he lies to someone, his father will know. And part of his father's order was to add your name to the tattoo, basically, to make it so that you would be notified if the officer lied. But she hadn't added that yet, and he wanted you to give basically permission to do that.
Kubo looks. I'm gonna assume that they probably like know each other on first name basis because like I don't know. He's like, oh, that's awesome news, Susie. Like, thank you so much. Yeah, hell yeah.
Goes, all right, I don't need to add anything to tattoo. It's more of an enchantment thing, but I just wanted to let you know.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you, thank you. Nice, nice.
Okay, cool. Awesome. So I just wanted to make sure that was established. So okay. So
Wrapping my arm.
yes,
We have less than a minute on the Zoom if we want to end it now and just restart it, and then we can jump in with you
end it
now.
now and restart. Dang it.